Merry Springmas, everyone. Baseball's back, baby. Baseball season is back at long last. We don't have to wait till May or June this year or whenever the heck it got started last year. 162 games, do or die. We're back to the marathon, and I'm so excited. I'm going to be doing a little bit of a rundown of everybody in the National League, at least, I think, roughly. Just everything I know off the top of my head. Again, I'm not an expert. I do not pretend to be an expert. I'm just going to run down what I am expecting to happen this season, at least on the National League side of things. I'm much more well-versed in that. I don't really know much about the American League side. But anyway, I digress. I think the Cubs are in a very good spot to do well this year. And we lost some key pieces. Lester and Schwarber both went to the Nationals. And we lost Caratini and Darvish to the Padres, which really sucked in that trade. But I feel like we got a lot of good pieces back, such as Zach Davies. I believe he is a slept-on pitcher. I think he will do really well. He is set to be the Cubs' number 3 person or pitcher in the rotation. Now, I will state I'm recording this on March 26th, so rosters have not been finalized yet. So I am going off of what I know right now. So, yeah, it looks like Davies is going to be number 3. Hendricks and Arrieta have already been named number 1 and 2. And I'm honestly surprised that Arrieta got named number 2. Oh, yeah, Arrieta's back. I never did a video on this, but I made a post on my Instagram. I'll put the photo right there of the photo that I made and put on my Instagram. I was so happy that day. Like that, Jake coming back to the Cubs, it made that week for me, and it was awesome. And Jock Peterson, he was a genius signing. 1 year, $7 million. He took a bit of a discount to what he was worth so he could play every day. And Jake Marisnick was a good signing, in my opinion. He was a part of that 2017 Astros team, but I do not believe he was one of the main guys involved there. He's had a very nice spring. Now, I don't want to read into spring ball too much because that is a fool's errand. But I think the Cubs will do very well this season. I believe it's going to be a very, very competitive National League Central race this year from everybody in the division with the exception of the Pirates because they're the Pirates. One thing that I don't necessarily agree with what the Cubs are doing is that they have said that Adbert Alzolay, the 26-year-old pitcher, will start in the minors. And I honestly think it's just time for him to be in the majors full time. Like, the kid's 26. You can only develop a guy for so long without getting him used to a culture of minor league ball and not giving him enough faith to do well. That gets in the mind of a pitcher. And I honestly think he needs to start the season in the bullpen because the Cubs are very well-rounded all around the team, except the bullpen. I don't even recognize half of the names in the bullpen this year. And who knows how good Kimbrel's going to be. And Rowan Wick is going to be on the injured list to start the year, so that won't help. Jeremy Jeffress is gone. I don't know why we didn't re-sign him. In my opinion, I think Alzolay should be in the bullpen. I think that's where he should be starting, and he could be a stint starter if need be. Now, the starting pitching, I'm very happy with what we did this offseason. We filled the holes filled by Lester and Quintana. Quintana went to the Angels with Madden. And I believe that the front office did a good job filling holes. Arrieta's back. That's a big nostalgia trip for me, at least, and a lot of other people. Now, he's not the Jake of old, but he will certainly do very well. I think he's back in his element. He's had a decent spring. And then Trevor Williams from the Pirates, he has had a very good spring. He's retooled his slider. That guy has a nasty slider. So I think he can have a sub 4.50 ERA year. And Alec Mills, he came off of a no-hitter last year. I'm curious to see how he will do. I think he's going to be doing a lot better, especially with Arrieta on the staff. And I'm actually wearing Horner for this. I think he's set to have a good year. He started off spring white hot. He hit like 800 for the first week of spring or something crazy like that. I think he'll do well. I think the debate about him not being in the majors at this point is stupid. There's Ildemaro Vargas, who is kind of going to be on the bubble of who's going to make it. I honestly think Horner can be a platoon guy along with Bodie and Eric Sogard, who we got from Milwaukee, I believe. He's done decent this spring. He can be a good bat off the bench. He can be our new Tommy La Stella. And I think the Cubs definitely have a very good shot of being competitive in the Central this year. Now, as far as everybody else, I'm not even going to talk about the Pirates because, first of all, they'll be lucky to win 55 games this year, and second of all, I don't even know anybody left on their roster. Everybody on that team has jumped ship or has abused the substance abuse policy and has gotten themselves suspended. So I got nothing on the Pirates. I don't think they will be a threat to anyone this year. The team that I am the most worried about is the Cardinals because of the signing of Nolan Arenado, which still sounds so weird to say. He's always been a Rocky, or at least almost always, and it hurts my soul to see him in a Cardinals uniform. And I have no doubt in my mind that he'll do very well this year because it's Nolan Arenado. The dude is an automatic Gold Glove. He's one of the best defenders in baseball history. And then having Goldschmidt on the other side of the infield, and then a few other decent Cardinals players. Molina is back. He'll bring a lot of experience to some of the younger guys. The Cardinals have a lot of young players that got some playing time last year who did good in small sample sizes, and they will probably be better this year. As far as the Cardinals pitching staff, they've dealt with a lot of injuries, and I'm really not sure what to think of them yet. Wainwright is back for one more year. I really don't know how well he'll do. He'll probably put up a sub-5 year as far as ERA, but I don't expect him to do great, but I don't expect him to do absolutely terrible either. But I really do think the Cubs' biggest threat is the Cardinals because just of all that star power they have, and then they got Arenado, which was the first big splash of free agency. That's a lie. That was kind of Darvish, but that was a big splash in free agency at the time. The Brewers really intrigued me this year because they signed Jackie Bradley Jr., who is dealing with an injury right now. He's listed as to be determined for opening day, and I don't know what he'll do when healthy. He's put up very good numbers in the last few years. I just want to say, Red Sox fans, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that you had to deal with Mookie, Bradley, and Benintendi leaving in like the span of a year and a half. I genuinely am sorry. That's like the next worst thing than the Marlins letting go of Ozuna, Yelich, and Stanton in like a year. That's the next worst thing. The Brewers, I brushed up on some of their stats from last year. Lorenzo Cain only played 4 games last season, so I think he will be poised for a bounce back season. I believe he won the Gold Glove the last full year that he was healthy, if I remember correctly. And then Christian Yelich, he'll do well. Oh, that's one thing I want to bring up. In-game video will be back this year, which will drastically improve the hitting of a lot of talent around the league. The two players that I believe struggled the most without in-game video were Javier Baez and Christian Yelich, who were in the MVP race a few years back. In-game video will be back. There will be some restrictions on what it can be because of Houston. Thank you so much for ruining our sport. But in-game video will be back, and I'm sure a lot of hitters will improve on that. I'm sure some will decline. I'm sure some pitchers might struggle with that. I'm curious to see how Yu Darvish does in San Diego this year, not only with fans, but with in-game video back and stuff like that. I just want to talk about the Padres for a second. They turned the salary cap off. They went into the game settings and they turned off salary cap with everything that they did this offseason. They signed Tatis to a gazillion-dollar deal, and they got Darvish, they got Mike Clevenger. I think they got him last year, but they also got Blake Snell from the Rays. And that being said, I don't think the Rays will be back in the World Series. There's no way they make it back with Snell, or without Snell. Snell is going to be on the Padres. He's going to be doing his thing. And then the Dodgers getting Bauer, like, that is just unfair, man. They're everybody's favorite to win the World Series once again. I don't really see anybody who can take them down except the injury/COVID bug. But I don't know. I just don't see the Dodgers losing this next World Series with all the star power they have. They're projected to win like 103 games. They will win at least 106. I'll be shocked if they win less than 106 games. But them and the Padres battling it out in the same division will be very, very fun to watch. Now, as far as what's going to be left on the Cubs for or after this year, I'm very nervous. I think we need to prioritize Rizzo and Baez above all else, because Rizzo is the modern day Mr. Cub and Javi is Javi. Now, what I'm about to say is going to trigger a lot of people, and I'm sorry, but I love Chris Bryant. I do. He's a great guy. He just had a son, Kyler, I believe is his name, this over the offseason, and they are adorable together. But if there is a core piece that the Cubs can afford to lose, it's Bryant. And I welcome Bryant with open arms to please prove me wrong this season on what I'm about to say. But he's had injury issues over the last few years. His numbers are down. And honestly, if he were to get traded or not re-signed, David Bodie is more than capable of being an everyday starting third baseman. I have no doubt in my mind that he could fill in that role if need be. And I honestly just think that we need to prioritize Javi and Rizzo, because our team would fall apart without either of those two. Because the Cubs really have not had a full-fledged first baseman in the majors anywhere. There's barely one in the minors. I believe we got Matt Duffy over the offseason, and he's done well in spring training. Maybe he'll fill in for Rizzo if he has back tightness. He'll get called up from the minors, but we need to hang on to Rizzo and Baez. But that's a discussion for another Blu Sports episode. Oh, I forgot to talk about the Cincinnati Reds. They are very, very injured right now. Why am I blanking on the Japanese outfielder's name? I need to look that up. Shogo Akiyama, that's his name. He's hurt. I believe a whole bunch of other people are hurt. I will bring up Jose Iglesias, their shortstop. He has been balling out in spring training. Like, he's had some Javi-like moments, and it'll certainly be interesting to watch him. Joey Votto, I've always liked Joey Votto. He's very good at the game, and he just plays fundamentally sound baseball, but he is really getting old, and his numbers are dropping off, and he will be hurt to start the season. Now, I believe it has been this way for years with the Reds. Their offense is very good, but their pitching is just not. And with Trevor Bauer leaving to the Dodgers, that is just an absolutely huge blow. That's part of the reason I believe the Reds made the postseason last year, if I remember correctly. They made the postseason because of Bauer, and Bauer is now gone. And a lot of their lineup is hurt to start the year, so it'll be interesting to see how they do. I honestly think it's a coin flip between them and the Brewers to finish 3rd and 4th. I really think it'll be Cubs-Cardinals to be 1 and 2 this year. My main concern with the Cubs is that bullpen. And yeah, it's going to be a very, very interesting season. It'll be interesting to see what injuries derail the season. Eloy Jimenez for the White Sox, he tore his bicep leaping over the fence for a home run the other day, which I feel for the guy, but at the same time, it's spring training, and you tried to rob a home run, and you hurt yourself, and you're out until September. So I have half sympathy for you, Eloy Jimenez, but that is definitely going to hurt the White Sox moving forward. And then I brushed up on a few. I guess I forgot that a bunch of pitchers will be out recovering from Tommy John surgeries and other surgeries, such as Justin Verlander and Noah Syndergaard. And I believe there's one other name I'm missing. But yeah, Verlander will be out most of, if not all of the year for Houston, so that will definitely hurt them. I don't mind, because if I'm being totally honest, I do not want Houston to do well. And I don't think the rest of the baseball world, other than Houston fans, want that either. And I just don't want that. I feel the pain of Twins fans for not being able to win a postseason series or even a postseason game. And they got derailed by the Astros last year, and that just lit a fire in my belly, because I'm friends with a handful of Twins fans, and they're good people. I like that Twins team. They've got a lot of young stars and a lot of well-rounded veterans on that team. Nelson Cruz is a later addition. I believe Max Kepler is doing well there. I don't know much about the Twins, but I think they're poised to make the postseason again. It's just a matter if they can win a game. I really do think that this is going to be a very good baseball season. I think it's going to be a good thing for America to watch and just kind of get back to a sense of normalcy with fans coming back in the stands, because that was a big thing last year. MLB didn't really allow fans in the stands until the World Series, I think. And, oh, I just randomly thought of something. I know I'm jumping all over the place here, but I just have so much to cover in so little amount of time. But one thing that I'm very interested about is the Pedro Strop situation with the Cubs. Pedro Strop came back to the Cubs, but he immediately violated protocols and he got suspended from the team for violating COVID protocols. Now, I have very mixed feelings about Pedro Strop. I've always tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. I do actually have a signed photo of him in my room that I got at an auction once, which was super awesome. I have a signed photo of him, Hayward, and La Stella in my room, so that's part of my little memorabilia collection. But I believe Pedro is knocked on a lot. I believe, well, in past years he's been knocked on a lot, but he is one of the better relievers in recent Cubs history. But the Cubs were the only team in the whole league last year to not have any games canceled because of the virus, and no players really or coaches went into protocol during the regular season. They were the only team in the whole league to do that, and then Pedro comes in and violates that trust a week in. So that'll be an interesting storyline to follow, and then it'll be interesting to see how the virus impacts other teams around the league. I know the Marlins were a big story last year with all of the virus stuff that went around their clubhouse, but they rallied to make the postseason and then beat the Cubs somehow. Postseason baseball for the Cubs since they've won the World Series has been rough. Bryant, Rizzo, and Baez, they've batted like a collective 175 over the course of like the 2017 run to the NLCS, the 2018 wild card, and then the 2 games last year. There is no doubt in my mind that the Cubs have a realistic shot to make the postseason. And honestly, I hope the postseason format is the same this year as it was last year, because I honestly like that format. But the Cubs need to do well in the playoffs. Their offense has struggled, but I do think that will get fixed this year, because I think Jock Peterson is a very nice addition to the staff. And then having in-game video back will help Javi a bunch, and I'm sure it'll help a bunch of other guys on the team. But, yeah. If the Cubs make the postseason, I just hope they can do something. I just threw a lot of information at you guys, but that's just kind of my take on what the MLB season will look like. And I'm probably posting this like 20 minutes before first pitch of the Cubs, because I think they're one of the first games to go that day. I'm going to post this video at like 20-30 minutes before the first game starts, so nobody can go back and be like, oh, well, you said this even though this happened. I'm going to post this video before everything starts. So, yeah, thank you for listening to me ramble about sports, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.